And must now you might think that we only do in databases, which is obviously not true, because we also can show that there are changes on all levels. Now it's not only generating more and more databases, but also organizing change. I would say the Geek project, which is coming after, which will be presented by Olivia Blanchard, is a nice example of how we develop step by step a new database in a new region or in a new sector, because the Geek work is different from any other work. Sometimes it's self-employed, sometimes it's employed work, sometimes it's super hybrid. And we try to have, as WageIndicator being global, try to do more and more research on this, on what is happening in the gig industry or in the gig sectors. We do that already for a couple of years by having a meeting every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. That's to start with. And then we have 2 big webinars a year. And Olivia will explain us now some more about how she's doing it and how she's, let's say, having the trick of a geek project within WageIndicator. Olivia, can you come in and share?
I can share this. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you see that well?
Yes, perfect. Really good.
Okay, so just a few words about myself, because I don't know most of you, as I only joined the gig team at WageIndicator a few months ago. I have to say it's been great to be here today, and I've taken lots of notes, and it's a great way of getting much more information about and an overview of all the different parts of WageIndicator. So yeah, lovely to meet you all virtually at least. So as Pauline was saying, why are we now working on the gig economy? So millions of people around the world are now finding work through digital platforms. According to the International Labour Organization, the rise of digital labour platforms has been one of the most important transformations in the world of work over the last 10 years. In fact, between 2010 and 2020, according to the ILO, the number of digital labour platforms multiplied by 5. So it's a global phenomenon. It's here to stay. It's triggered so far a lot of debate and a lot of controversial discussions and a lot of controversy, especially around the issue of contracting or not the workers. So it's a common practice to have the workers working as freelancers, and there's a lot of debate. And in several countries now, we've seen sentences for and against companies employing or not their workers. So it's a very heated and often polarized debate. So the most optimistic narratives talk about the opportunities that digital labor platforms offer. For example, access to the labor force, flexibility, you are your own boss. But there's also a number of challenges in regards to social protection, minimum pay, data protection, gender equality, etc. And the issues actually are quite complex. It's not black and white in terms of the impact that these new companies and the way of organizing work is having across different sectors. So I've just passed on the slide. Can you see it? Can you see it passing? Yeah. Okay. So how did the project start? It started in April 2020, which, as you'll remember, was just after the start of the world pandemic. And we started with data collection in 5 different countries, and that was Argentina, India, South Africa, Spain, and the Netherlands. We rolled out a survey. Over 3,150 surveys were completed, and the results were presented at the first Gig Work conference in October 2020. And there's more information on the website about the results. We launched a Working for a Platform section on the surveyed countries' WageIndicator website. So for these 5 countries that I just mentioned, there's information about the main platforms in the country. There's information about contracts, terms and conditions, the rights of platform workers, and a Q&A. And the goal is to collect and regularly update information regarding the gig economy, directly linked to the WageIndicator database about pay, minimum wage, and living wage. In January 2021, we launched the new platform economy section on WageIndicator.org on the website. And that contains a global overview of platform work news, platform economy court cases, and platform economy case studies. And I think that WageIndicator is in a really privileged position because of its global outreach and global perspective to have this global perspective on this phenomenon. And in March 2021, so a year ago, the first gig work newsletter came out. So you can see how slowly we've been building up the team and the work. The webinars are one of the main components of our work so far. They happen twice a year. So the first one happened in March 2021, Theory and Practice in the Global World of Platforms. Then we had one in September last year on migration and telemigration in the gig economy. And then we've just had one in March this year on gig work grip on pay. And we've got another one coming up in October this year, which will have, we will be looking at the issue of gig work through a gender perspective. And how do these webinars work? We have an opening keynote speech, a panel discussion, elevator pitches, breakout rooms. They last about 2.5 hours, and we bring people from all across the world, researchers, but also people from platforms themselves or other practitioners working in the field. And just to tell you a little bit more about our team, we are a group that is from all across the world. We have different nationalities in the team, and that is really helpful because we can see how we can then, that feeds into our discussions on how this new way of working is impacting in different regions. But we also have contact in specific countries, and that allows us to do something like rolling out the survey in 5 countries, as I mentioned before. The challenges, well, it's a burning topic. There's a lot being written about it, and finding our place as an organization and finding in which way we can add value, that's a challenge. We need more variety in our own working group, and both across disciplines and also from more people from the global south, to bring in more of that perspective. And then the webinars. So we were discussing this the other day, how it's been great. I mean, I've never met any of you in person, so it's great to have the tool of the internet to bring us together, and webinars. We can bring people together that in person might not be able to come together, and that's great. But also there are disadvantages. You can't do a whole day of an event as you might do in person, and so you are limited in how much you can have people online and engaged, drop in attention, tight schedules, etc. But there's pros and cons. So what's in the future? And I end my presentation with this slide. So we want to find a way of continuing to produce quality work, and not to preach but to explore. So to keep putting our finger on the pulse and finding and especially zooming in on the issues that might not be discussed in other forums. Update of gig workers' rights, so regarding labour law and the labour index. Dialogue with platforms, as we've already started, for example, the delivery platform Glovo, and more collaborations with other organisations that are doing similar type of work in terms of data collection, for example, Fair Work. And the next webinar, which you're all invited to attend, is on the 27th of October. And as I mentioned, we will be looking at the how women experience and how gig work impacts women across the world. And I didn't actually introduce myself, I realize, but I'm based in Barcelona. I'm a researcher, and I research the impact of technology. Hang on, I'm just going to stop sharing. So yeah, I'm Olivia. I'm based in Barcelona in Spain. I'm a researcher. I work in the non-profit sector, and I research the impact of technology on society, looking specifically at the future of work and the gig economy. And that's how I came to join the gig team a few months ago. So thank you very much for your
And we're very happy to have you in the team, Olivia. That's clear. So it's clear what we do with the gig team, step by step, getting more knowledge in a new line of work, I would say.